My mom's best friend bent down, her collar slipped, then she said, "Don't tell your mom." Life moved in gentle, predictable rhythms. Yet, on a late afternoon in early autumn, something extraordinary happened. Something that would change his understanding of his family, his neighborhood, and even humanity itself. Marin Hale, his mother's best friend for over 20 years, had come over as she often did. She was tall, graceful, and carried herself with a kind of confidence that made people instinctively trust her. She smiled easily, laughed freely, and seemed to know just the right thing to say in any situation. Eli liked her. He always had. That day, Marin had brought a small, silver drone with her. It wasn't the kind of drone Eli had seen at school. This one was sophisticated, smooth, and emitted a soft hum as it hovered above the table. "It's a prototype," Marin said, her voice calm but tinged with excitement. "I was hoping to test it here." Eli leaned forward, curiosity sparking. He had always been fascinated by technology more than schoolwork or video games. "What does it do?" he asked. Marin's eyes twinkled. "It's designed to help with household chores," she explained. "It can clean, organize, and even fix minor repairs on its own, but it's a bit temperamental." She glanced at the drone, which wobbled slightly before settling in midair. Eli couldn't resist. "Can I try it?" Marin hesitated, then laughed softly. "Sure, but be careful. It's sensitive." He reached for the controller. The moment his fingers brushed it, a strange feeling shot through his arm. He shook it off, blaming his imagination. The drone hovered toward the corner of the kitchen where a small cupboard door had been slightly misaligned for months. Marin followed it closely. Eli watched as she bent down, her long hair brushing against her shoulders. Then in a brief, almost imperceptible moment, her collar slipped. Eli froze. Something beneath the collar shimmered, not skin, not a tattoo, not a mark he had ever seen before. It was a soft, pulsating blue light like a heartbeat trapped under glass. His stomach tightened. Marin noticed immediately. Her warm smile faltered. She looked at Eli with eyes that had always seemed open and honest but now carried a sharp, guarded edge. "Don't tell your mom," she said quietly. Eli blinked, unsure if he had imagined it. What was that?" he asked. Marin straightened, adjusting her collar as if to cover the secret. "Nothing," she said lightly, though her tone held an undercurrent of warning. "Just a piece of technology I've been testing." Eli didn't believe her. The light had been real. Something about it had felt alive, almost intelligent. He glanced at the drone, then back at Marin. "It didn't look like a normal device," he said, choosing his words carefully. Marin's lips pressed into a thin line. "It's complicated," she said. "And it's better if your mom doesn't know. She wouldn't understand." Eli felt a mix of curiosity and unease. "Why?" "Because some things," Marin replied, "are meant for people who are ready to see them." He frowned. The words sounded like a riddle, but there was no time to question it further. The drone suddenly shivered midair, sparks flickering faintly across its surface. Marin stepped forward quickly, adjusting a small panel on its back. "See," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Temperamental." But Eli couldn't shake the image of the light beneath her collar. He had seen many strange things in his life, movies, books, videos, but nothing like this. It felt alive. That night Eli lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. He tried to forget about the glowing implant, the secret Marin carried, and the strange warning. But his mind refused to rest. He remembered the way the light had pulsed, as if it was breathing, as if it had a will of its own. Sleep came fitfully, and when he awoke, the world seemed slightly different. Even the morning sunlight, streaming through his curtains, felt sharper somehow, more focused. Eli had the strange sense that something had changed, not outside but within him. At breakfast, Marin was cheerful, chatting with his mother about the upcoming community fair. She laughed and joked as usual, completely unaware, or perhaps perfectly skilled at hiding, that Eli's mind was elsewhere. He watched her carefully, noticing details he had never seen before. The way her hands moved, precise and deliberate, the subtle way she shifted her weight, almost like a dancer. Everything about her seemed measured, controlled, almost unnatural. As his mother left for work, Eli found himself alone with Marin. He decided he needed answers. "You didn't tell me what that light was," he said cautiously, leaning against the counter. Marin's expression softened, and she gestured for him to follow her to the small living room. "It's not easy to explain," she admitted, "and some of it you might not understand yet." Eli nodded, though he wasn't sure he believed her. He was a curious boy, and curiosity had always gotten him into trouble, but he felt it would also save him one day. Marin sat down, her eyes fixed on a point in the distance. "I'm not entirely human," she began. Eli blinked. "What do you mean?" "I was sent here a long time ago," she said slowly, "to observe humans, to watch how you live, how you adapt, how you solve problems." "I was part of a study." Eli's stomach nodded. "A study?" Marin nodded. "You could say that. I have certain limitations built into me by the people who sent me. That collar," she gestured lightly to her neck, "was designed to keep me in check, to stop me from interfering." Eli's mind raced. "And the light? That was the limiter," Marin explained. "It's starting to fail, and when it does, well, I might not be able to control everything anymore." Eli swallowed hard. "And you wanted me to see it." Marin looked at him with an intensity that made his heart skip. "Not exactly. I just needed someone who could understand, and somehow your mind responded to it. That wasn't supposed to happen." Eli sat down, trying to digest the information. Humans weren't supposed to have this reaction to alien tech, right? And yet he had felt something, an echo, a connection, something beyond explanation. "I don't know if I understand," he admitted. "That's okay," Marin said gently. "You will, eventually." The rest of the day passed in a blur. Eli's mind kept returning to the image of the pulsing light. He tried to focus on schoolwork, on helping his mother around the house, on ordinary things, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. That evening, he decided to experiment quietly. He went to his room and took out an old tablet, experimenting with signals and patterns. He was careful, trying not to trigger anything, but when he ran a small pulse of code, a faint blue shimmer appeared around his hand. Eli gasped. The light wasn't coming from the tablet. It was coming from him. Somehow, Marin's technology had awakened something latent inside him, a response no one had predicted. He ran to the living room, breathless. Marin was there, reading quietly. I think something changed," he said. She looked up, eyes wide but unreadable. "I see," she murmured. "And that's why you're special, Eli. Not just because of what you can do, but because of how you react. Humans are unpredictable, and that makes you stronger than they think." Eli felt a surge of fear and excitement. Stronger than who? Than what? Marin leaned forward. "There are people coming, Eli, others like me. They've been watching Earth, evaluating you, and soon they will return." Eli felt the room spin. "What do you mean?" "They think humans are fragile," Marin said quietly. "They've misjudged you for centuries, but they're about to find out just how uncontainable we are." The words hung in the air, heavy with possibility and danger. Eli realized that nothing would ever be ordinary again. The world outside was quiet, unaware, but inside his home, secrets were awakening, powers were stirring, and the fate of humanity, unknown, untested, and untamed, was quietly shifting. And for the first time, Eli understood the weight behind her words. "Don't tell your mom." Some truths, he realized, were too important, too dangerous, and too extraordinary to share with anyone else. Eli couldn't sleep that night. His mind raced with thoughts about Marin, her glowing implant, and the strange pulse that seemed to connect to him. He had tried to focus on ordinary things, school, his homework, even the small garden outside his window, but every thought drifted back to that pulsing blue light and her quiet words. "Don't tell your mom." By morning, he had made a decision. He needed answers. Not half answers, not stories brushed off as experiments, but the whole truth. And from the way Marin had looked at him the previous night, he suspected she knew he would ask. Breakfast was quiet. His mother hummed softly, organizing plates, while Marin sipped her tea and watched Eli with a measured gaze. "You look like you didn't sleep," Marin said casually. "I didn't," Eli admitted, trying to sound normal. I keep thinking about yesterday." Marin's eyes flickered. She set her cup down carefully as if preparing to reveal something significant. "Eli," she said gently, "there are things about me that are very complicated. Things your mother doesn't know and probably never should." Eli's stomach tightened. "Just tell me," he said. "I can handle it." Marin sighed, the weight of centuries, or maybe decades, seeming to press down on her. She stood and walked to the window, staring outside at the quiet street. "I'm not entirely human," she began. Eli froze. "Not human," she nodded. "I was sent to observe your species, to study humans, and to make sure, well, to make sure humans didn't destroy themselves before they were ready." Eli blinked, trying to process her words. "Sent by who?" "A coalition," Marin said, keeping her voice low. "A group of advanced civilizations. They've been watching Earth for centuries, watching humans, learning how you live, how you adapt, how you fight, even when you don't realize it." Eli's mouth went dry. "Why me?" Marin turned to face him, her eyes serious and deep. "Because you reacted to my implant. No human ever has. You're different, Eli. You have a spark, something they didn't expect, something even I didn't anticipate." Eli swallowed. What do you mean by spark?" "The ability to adapt," Marin said. "The ability to respond to situations in ways that can't be predicted by logic alone. Humans are chaotic, unpredictable, and strangely resilient. And your mind responds to things it shouldn't be able to. That's rare." Eli's heart pounded. "Are you saying I'm special?" "Special is a word I would use," she admitted, "but it's also dangerous. The coalition has rules. I was never allowed to interfere directly with humans and certainly never allowed to share certain truths." Eli's brow furrowed. "Like what truths?" Marin hesitated. Then slowly she walked to the small bookshelf and pulled out a thin tablet. Its surface shimmered with an almost imperceptible blue light, the same color he had seen beneath her collar. "This," she said, holding it out, "is a record of observations. Everything about humans that has ever mattered to them." Eli took the tablet cautiously. The screen lit up with data streams, charts, images, and symbols he didn't fully understand. But among them he saw patterns, conflicts, inventions, moments of human courage, artistic expression, problem-solving. It was overwhelming. "These are all real," he whispered. "All real," Marin said. "Your species has survived countless threats. And yet most of the galaxy assumes humans are weak, emotional, reckless, fragile, but that assumption is wrong. You adapt, you survive, you create, and sometimes you exceed expectations in ways no one predicted." Eli's mind spun. "So the coalition thinks humans are weak?" "They do," Marin said, "and they have been planning evaluations, tests, experiments, even interventions to see if your species should continue. Sometimes the assessments are minor, other times they are catastrophic." Eli felt a chill. "Catastrophic," Marin nodded. "Extinctions, wars, environmental crises. You have survived them all, often without even knowing it. Humans are underestimated, always underestimated." Eli's mind raced back to history lessons at school, stories of ancient civilizations, wars, famines. Somehow he understood it differently now. Humans weren't just surviving, they were thriving against odds that others considered impossible. "Why are you telling me this?" Eli asked. "Because the limiter in my implant is failing," Marin said quietly. "And soon the coalition will come again. They believe humans are ready for observation and for intervention if necessary. You have the ability to notice things, to react, to influence events, and you may be the only one who can." Eli stared at her. "Me?" "Yes," she said firmly. "I've broken protocol by growing attached to your family, to your mother, to you. And now, the only chance humans have to remain free may depend on what you do. Eli felt the weight of her words settle over him. He was only a teenager, yet the future of his species was suddenly in his hands, or at least that's how it felt. Marin continued, her voice calm but urgent. I know it's a lot, and I know you're scared, but humans are unique. You don't always follow rules, you improvise. You learn from failure, you take risks, and those traits, curious, brave, determined, make you extraordinary. Eli swallowed hard. So, what do I do? Marin smiled faintly. You learn, you prepare, you observe, and most importantly, you keep this secret. The coalition cannot know that humans have evolved in ways they did not predict. Eli nodded slowly. And if they find out, they might act, Marin said softly. They might decide that humans are too unpredictable, too dangerous. An intervention could come in forms no one on Earth would expect. That's why you must understand humans, Eli. You must understand yourself. For the next few hours, Marin guided him through the basics. She taught him to sense the faint energy patterns left by her implant. She showed him how to manipulate small signals with simple devices, encouraging him to experiment carefully. Eli's initial fear gave way to fascination. He discovered patterns in the pulses, rhythms that seemed to respond to thought, emotion, even intention. His mind, normally restless and scattered, began to focus with surprising clarity. He realized that he could anticipate small changes in the patterns, almost like predicting the next movement of a game piece. Marin watched silently, impressed. You're learning faster than I expected, she said. And that's exactly why this is important. Humans have always survived because of their ability to think differently, to find solutions where no one else can. You're beginning to understand why we underestimated you. Eli smiled, a spark of pride mixing with awe. For the first time, he felt the weight of human potential resting not just in history books or legends, but in himself. As evening approached, the quiet street outside seemed ordinary again, but Eli knew better. Humanity was on the cusp of something remarkable. He didn't yet know the full scale of what was coming, but he understood one undeniable truth. Humans were resilient, unpredictable, and capable of greatness, even when the rest of the galaxy assumed otherwise. Marin's voice brought him back to the present. Tomorrow you'll begin more advanced exercises, but tonight rest. You need to be ready. Eli nodded, though sleep did not come easily. He replayed the lessons, the glowing patterns, the hidden signals. A mixture of excitement and nervousness kept him awake. He thought of the coalition, of the mysterious evaluations, of the countless ways humanity had survived. And he realized something profound. No one else could do what humans did. Not the most advanced civilizations, not the most powerful machines. Humans survived because of something deeper: creativity, courage, connection. And maybe, just maybe, he would be part of proving it. As he drifted into a restless sleep, Eli's mind lingered on Marin's words, repeating silently, humans are underestimated. Humans are uncontainable. Humans survive. He didn't fully understand it yet, but he would. And when he did, the galaxy would see what humans had always known. They were far stronger, far more resilient, and far more extraordinary than anyone could imagine. The next morning, Eli woke with a strange sense of purpose. The sunlight streamed through his window, painting the walls in gold and orange, but he barely noticed. His mind was already racing, remembering the lessons Marin had begun teaching him. He felt as though something inside him had awakened, a dormant spark that had always been there but was now flickering to life. Downstairs, the house smelled of fresh toast and brewing coffee. His mother hummed softly in the kitchen, moving with her usual calm precision. Marin was already there, examining small devices and tools scattered across the table. She looked up as Eli entered. "Good morning," she said with a small smile. "Ready for today?" Eli nodded. "I think so." Marin studied him for a moment, then walked over to a small cabinet and pulled out a sleek metallic box. "Today we go further," she said. "Yesterday you observed and learned. Today you will begin interacting with the signals themselves." Eli felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had never done anything like this before. His hands shook slightly as Marin handed him a pair of lightweight gloves covered in tiny sensors. "These gloves will let you manipulate the energy patterns from my implant," Marin explained. "Carefully. Focus on controlling your thoughts, on predicting the next movement of the patterns. Humans have a natural advantage here because your brains are adaptable and creative in ways my kind cannot predict." Eli put on the gloves and watched as the tiny sensors hummed to life. A soft blue glow appeared between his hands, the same color as the light beneath Marin's collar. The sensation was both thrilling and strange, like holding water that had a mind of its own. "Now," Marin said, "don't think of it as technology. Think of it as a conversation. The patterns respond to thought, to intention. Treat it with respect and it will respond." Eli focused, recalling the movements from yesterday. Slowly, the patterns began to shift, responding to his mind in small, delicate ways. A flicker of pride warmed him. He had done it. He was interacting with something no human was supposed to perceive or control. Marin's eyes gleamed. "Very good, faster than expected. Humans truly are unpredictable." Eli smiled, feeling a rush of accomplishment, but beneath the excitement was a gnawing fear. Marin had said the coalition would return. They didn't understand humans, yet they had the power to judge them, to decide if humanity should survive or be altered in ways they couldn't imagine. "Why are they doing this?" Eli asked suddenly. Marin paused. "Because humans are dangerous and fascinating. Dangerous because you are unpredictable, capable of adaptation and survival. Fascinating because you solve problems in ways that logic alone cannot explain. The coalition has always misjudged you." Eli frowned. "Misjudged? In what way?" "Centuries ago, humans were seen as fragile, emotional, reckless. They believed you would destroy yourselves or collapse under pressure. They never imagined humans could rebuild, adapt, and grow stronger after every disaster. They never imagined humans would be uncontainable." Eli thought of history, the wars, the famines, the pandemics. Humanity had survived against odds that seemed impossible. And yet, to think that the galaxy was watching, making decisions about life and death, made him uneasy. "So they've been watching us all this time?" he asked. Marin nodded. "And judging. They send observers like me to learn, to measure, to determine if your species is ready to continue without interference. Most of the time, humans don't even notice." Eli shivered. "And now they're coming back." "Yes," Marin said quietly. "Soon. They think the humans are ready for evaluation, and they will arrive with the full weight of their technology, their power, their rules. But humans are something else. That's why you must learn to understand the signals, to prepare, to prove what humans have always known, that they survive no matter the odds." Eli nodded slowly. A sense of determination settled over him. He didn't fully understand the scale of what was coming, but he knew he had to be ready. The hours passed in a blur of learning and practice. Eli manipulated the energy patterns, guided by Marin's careful instructions. He discovered that small changes in thought produced large shifts in the signals. He learned to anticipate movements, to correct errors, and to create complex patterns of interaction. By late afternoon, Eli was exhausted but exhilarated. He had a better understanding of the potential at his fingertips. He also understood the danger. If the coalition discovered what humans could do, they might not leave the planet untouched. "Enough for today," Marin said finally, removing her own gloves. "Rest, observe, reflect. Tomorrow we go further." Eli nodded, too tired to argue, but as he lay in bed that night he couldn't stop thinking. The pulse he had felt, the energy he had controlled, the signals he had shaped, they all pointed to one truth: Humans were not ordinary, they were extraordinary. And the galaxy had underestimated them. The next day, Marin took Eli on a walk through the nearby park. The sun was bright, the trees golden with autumn, but Eli barely noticed the beauty around him. He was focused on Marin, on the lessons she had begun teaching, on the world beyond the ordinary. "Why show me this outside?" Eli asked. "Because humans thrive in connection," Marin said. "Your species learns not just from technology or data, but from observation, empathy, and interaction. Nature, society, emotion, they all contribute to your adaptability. Understanding humans requires understanding the whole environment." Eli nodded. He had always loved nature, always noticed small details. The way leaves shimmered in sunlight, the way birds changed direction mid-flight. But he hadn't realized that this attention was a strength. Humans observed constantly, and in observation they adapted. They walked in silence for a while, and then Marin stopped near a small pond. The water reflected the sky, perfectly still, until a gentle breeze rippled its surface. "Look at the patterns," she said. "See how everything interacts: wind, water, light, movement. Each small change affects the whole. Humans are like that. Each action, each decision creates ripples. Sometimes you don't see them, but they are there." Eli thought about his own actions, his experiments with the energy signals, the pulse he had felt yesterday. He realized that even small thoughts, small decisions, could have consequences far beyond what he imagined. Marin smiled. "Humans have survived for thousands of years not because you are the strongest, not because you are the smartest, but because you adapt, learn, and persevere. You improvise, you connect, you find solutions when no one else can." Eli felt a swell of pride. It was a different kind of pride, not arrogance, not superiority, but a quiet understanding of what humans could do. As they returned home, Eli noticed movement in the sky, a faint shimmer like a ripple in the air. He froze. Marin noticed it too. "They're closer than I thought," she said softly. Eli's heart raced. "Who?" "The coalition," Marin said. "They've already begun scanning. Soon they'll arrive fully, and we must be ready." Eli realized the stakes were higher than ever. He had learned a lot, but now it was more than practice. Now it was preparation. Humanity itself was about to be evaluated, judged, and possibly challenged in ways no one on Earth could imagine. That night, Eli stayed awake again. He practiced manipulating the signals in his mind, refining his control, anticipating responses, and learning to trust his instincts. Each pulse, each shift, each flicker of light felt like a step toward understanding a larger truth. Humans were powerful in ways the galaxy could not measure. He remembered Marin's words: "Humans are underestimated. Humans are uncontainable. Humans survive." Eli realized that these were not just words. They were a promise, a warning, and a challenge, and he was ready to face it. By the next morning, Eli felt a quiet confidence. He had learned to control the signals, to understand the pulses, and to anticipate their responses. He had seen the strength and adaptability of humans not as myths or stories, but as a living truth within himself. Marin watched him with a mixture of pride and relief. "You're ready," she said. "Not fully, not yet, but ready enough to begin the next stage." Eli nodded. He didn't fully know what the next stage would bring, but he understood one thing clearly. Humans were never meant to be ordinary. They were never meant to be predictable. And now, more than ever, they would need to prove it. As the day began, Eli stood at the threshold of the ordinary and the extraordinary, aware that the galaxy was watching, aware that humanity's fate rested on the actions of those who were willing to adapt, learn, and survive. And for the first time, he felt the weight of that responsibility and the thrill of the challenge. For humans were never meant to know the full scale of the galaxy's gaze, and yet, somehow, they always endured. Eli woke before sunrise. The quiet hum of the morning filled the room, but he felt no calm. His thoughts raced, circling around Marin's warning from the day before. The coalition was coming, and they would arrive with technology far beyond human comprehension. He knew now that their arrival was not a distant possibility, it was imminent. He dressed quickly and descended the stairs. Marin was already in the living room, her posture calm but alert. The light from her implant pulsed softly beneath her collar, brighter than ever. "They're close," she said quietly. "I can feel their presence in the network, the signals they're scanning preparing to arrive, and soon the decision about humanity will be made." Eli swallowed hard. "Are we ready?" Marin hesitated. "We can prepare as much as possible, but they have rules. Their systems are precise. They expect humans to be predictable, but humans are not." Eli nodded. He felt the surge of energy from his own neural interface, the residual connection to Marin's implant. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat in sync with his own. He flexed his fingers, feeling the latent power he had been learning to control. For the first time, he understood what Marin meant. Humans had abilities the galaxy could never fully measure. "Today," Marin continued, "you will do more than control signals. You will influence them. You will show that humans are unpredictable and capable of adapting in ways no one expects." Eli's stomach tightened. Influence. That sounded dangerous. He had been practicing, yes, but now it was no longer a lesson. This was real. The Coalition's evaluation could decide the fate of Earth, and he was a part of it. Marin gestured for him to put on the gloves again. The sensors activated immediately, the soft blue light shimmering between his fingers. Eli took a deep breath, focusing on the pulses. He could feel their responses, subtle yet immediate. He adjusted his thoughts, nudging the signals, guiding them. "Good," Marin said softly. "But now comes the crucial part. The limiter in my implant is failing. Soon, I will be able to influence events directly, and the Coalition will see this. If I act without caution, it could be catastrophic. We need to work together. You will help me channel the energy in a way that demonstrates human creativity, not recklessness." Eli nodded, fear and determination mingling in his chest. He could do this. He had practiced. He had learned. Humans survived because they adapted. He would adapt too. Hours passed as they worked together. Eli manipulated the signals, while Marin channeled her energy through small devices they had rigged around the house. Patterns emerged, intricate and beautiful, forming shapes and flows that no alien system had predicted. Each movement, each adjustment, demonstrated ingenuity, creativity, and resilience. Eli began to understand what Marin had meant. The Coalition expected humans to react predictably, to follow logic and fear. But humans did not rely solely on logic. Humans improvised. Humans observed and adapted. Humans survived against impossible odds, and now they were proving it. Suddenly, the air shifted. Eli felt a tremor in the network, subtle but unmistakable. The Coalition had arrived. Their ships were invisible to human eyes, cloaked and scanning. Yet Eli could feel their presence, a cold, precise energy that sought to measure, judge, and decide. "They're here," Marin said, her voice steady but tense. "And they are aware of our activity. We need to act carefully." Eli focused on the signals, guiding them to create patterns that suggested both control and unpredictability. The Coalition's scanning systems attempted to analyze the energy flows, but the human element, the creativity, the adaptability, confounded their calculations. Marin's implant pulsed faster now, the limiter failing completely. Energy surged through her, unrestrained, responding to both her will and Eli's guidance. The room glowed with a brilliant blue light, casting shadows across the walls. Eli could feel the power coursing through him, amplified by Marin's implant. "This is it," Marin said. "The moment of truth. We must show them what humans can do. Not through weapons, not through force, but through ingenuity, adaptation, and resilience. This is why we survive. This is why they will underestimate us at their own peril." Eli nodded. His hands moved with precision, guiding the pulses, shaping the energy into patterns that were both intricate and unpredictable. He could feel the coalition system struggling to keep up, their calculations failing against the human element. The air shimmered as the energy patterns expanded, radiating beyond the house, into the surrounding neighborhood, and even into the wider network of electromagnetic signals. The coalition detected it. Their presence became aware not just of humans, but of the unpredictable force that humans represented. Marin's voice was calm but urgent. They are evaluating. They will decide soon. We need one final demonstration. Something that proves humans are uncontainable but not hostile. Something that shows creativity, courage, and adaptation. Eli thought quickly. He considered the signals, the patterns, and the capabilities of the network. Then he made a decision. He combined everything he had learned, the movements, the pulses, the rhythms, into a single cohesive flow. The energy pulsed like a heartbeat, expanding and contracting, shifting unpredictably yet harmoniously. It was beautiful, it was human, and it was alive. The coalition paused, their calculations faltered. No system had anticipated this combination of adaptation and creativity. No observer had predicted the human element, the resilience, the ingenuity, the ability to improvise in real time. Marin exhaled, exhausted but triumphant. "It's working," she whispered. "They see it, they understand partially." Eli's heart raced. "Partially. They cannot fully measure us," Marin said. "They never expected humans to combine logic, emotion, and creativity in this way. They will hesitate. And in hesitation, humans have an advantage." Suddenly, a wave of pressure filled the room. Eli could feel the coalition's response, subtle but powerful. They were aware of the uncontainable nature of humans now. Their systems recalculated, trying to predict, to understand, to control. But the human element could not be quantified. Eli felt a surge of energy through his body, amplified by Marin's implant. It was thrilling and frightening at the same time. He realized the full scope of what they were doing. They were not just defending Earth. They were demonstrating the unpredictable resilience of humanity itself. Marin looked at him with a mixture of pride and caution. "Now," she said, "we must choose. I can fully act through the implant, using the energy to influence the coalition's assessment. But if I do, I break every protocol. I risk everything. The choice is mine and yours. Do we show them humanity fully, or do we hold back?" Eli thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "We show them. They need to see what humans really are. Not what they expect, but what we truly are." Marin's eyes softened. "Very well, together then." The blue energy pulsed brighter, flowing from the devices, through Eli and Marin, and out into the surrounding environment. It carried a message, not of threat, but of capability, creativity, and adaptation. The coalition observed, scanning, analyzing, trying to contain it, but they could not. And in that moment, the human spirit revealed itself in its purest form, uncontainable, resilient, and extraordinarily alive. The light faded slowly, leaving a residual hum in the air. Eli and Marin stood together, exhausted but triumphant. The coalition had observed, had measured, and had, at least for now, chosen hesitation over intervention. Marin turned to Eli, her face serious but warm. "You did it. Together, we showed them. Humans are humans. They may not understand fully, but they cannot deny it either." Eli smiled, breathless but elated. "We did it," Marin nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The coalition will return and they will continue to test humanity. But now we have proof. Proof that humans are unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of survival against the odds." Eli felt a rush of pride. He had been part of something extraordinary, something that went beyond technology, beyond logic, beyond expectation. He had helped reveal the human element, the spark that no civilization could fully measure or control. And for the first time, he understood the true power of humanity. Not weapons, not machines, but ingenuity, courage, and the unyielding drive to survive and adapt, no matter the odds. As night fell, Eli and Marin looked out the window at the quiet streets of their neighborhood. The world seemed ordinary again, but they both knew it was anything but. Humanity had shown its strength, and the galaxy had noticed, at least enough to hesitate. Eli realized that the choice they had made to act fully, to reveal the human spark, was risky but necessary. Humans had always survived against impossible odds, and now the galaxy had a glimpse of why. For the first time, Eli felt the full weight and beauty of his species' potential. Humans were uncontainable, unpredictable, and unstoppable when they worked together, when they adapted, and when they refused to be measured by anyone else's expectations. And that knowledge, that was power. The days after the Coalition's first scan passed in a tense blur. Eli felt a strange mixture of triumph and unease. Humanity had revealed itself, shown its ingenuity, its adaptability, its uncontainable nature. But the galaxy did not sleep. The Coalition would return, and when it did, the stakes would be higher. Marin had been quiet, thoughtful, her pulsing implant now mostly dormant after the surge they had directed together. She moved through the house with her usual grace, but Eli could sense the tension beneath her calm exterior. She was a stranger and yet a protector, a teacher and a guide, and now because of her he carried a secret that could shape the fate of the world. "Are you ready?" she asked one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room. Eli nodded. "I think so, but what happens next?" Marin's eyes softened. "Next, we make sure they understand that humans are not just adaptable. They are creative, courageous, and alive in ways no system can predict. They must recognize it, or intervention will continue indefinitely. We cannot let them think humans are simple. We must prove that humans are extraordinary." Eli felt the familiar pulse in his mind, the connection to the residual energy from Marin's implant. It was faint now but persistent, like a heartbeat echoing in a quiet room. He flexed his fingers, feeling it ripple in response. He had learned to control it, to shape it, to channel it, not fully, but enough to make a difference. They began preparations quietly. Using small devices, patterns, and signals, they created a network of energy flows that spread across the city. Eli manipulated them carefully, shaping the pulses into intricate designs that no calculation could predict. Marin guided him, her voice calm and firm, reminding him that humans survived because of creativity and adaptability, not brute strength. As night fell, the first signs of the Coalition's ships appeared. Unlike the massive, intimidating vessels humans imagined, these were sleek, silent, almost invisible, but Eli could feel their presence in the network. They were scanning, analyzing, assessing. "They're here," Marin said softly, "and they are ready to evaluate fully." "This is it, Eli, the final stage. You must continue. We must show them humanity in its truest form." Eli focused, shaping the energy with his mind. He thought of human history. The wars survived, the cities rebuilt, the inventions born of necessity, the art created from emotion, the bonds formed in adversity. Each thought added to the pattern, making it richer, more complex, more alive. The Coalition's scans faltered. Systems that could analyze galaxies, measure energy outputs, and calculate probabilities could not anticipate the human element. The creativity, the improvisation, the unpredictability, it was beyond their logic. Marin's implant began to pulse faintly once more. Energy surged, but it was controlled, flowing through Eli and the network. They created a display that was not aggressive, not threatening, but undeniable. Humans were capable of adaptation, innovation, and resilience beyond expectation. The Coalition paused. Their assessment systems struggled. They recalculated, adjusted, and tried to interpret the patterns, but the combination of human thought, creativity, and adaptability defied prediction. Eli felt a thrill unlike anything before. Humanity was being judged, not for weapons or military strength, but for its core essence, its ingenuity, courage, and resilience. And humans were winning, not through force, but through being exactly who they were. Marin's voice was calm but urgent. One final step, Eli. We need to make it personal. We need to show them that humans are not only uncontainable, but alive in ways that algorithms cannot measure. Focus on what you love, what inspires you, what drives humans to create, to survive, to connect. That is what they must see. Eli closed his eyes and thought of everything that made humans remarkable. The laughter of children, the bonds of family, the spark of curiosity, the will to explore, the ability to solve impossible problems. He sent these thoughts into the network, shaping the energy with intention and emotion. The patterns shimmered, radiating across the city, across the signals, into the coalition's observation systems. The ships paused, scanning, adjusting, trying to interpret. And slowly their hesitation became apparent. Marin smiled faintly. They are reconsidering, they see it now. Humans are unpredictable, capable, alive. They may not fully understand, but they cannot deny it either. Eli exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. They had done it. Humanity had shown its strength, not through weapons, not through aggression, but through creativity, resilience, and the uncontainable human spirit. But as the city returned to quiet, Eli felt a pang of worry. The coalition would not forget. They would observe, assess, and return. And the world beyond the city would never know what had occurred, what had been at stake. Marin looked at him knowingly. "That is why you must never tell your mother," she said softly. "Some truths are too dangerous, too extraordinary to share. She must not know, and neither should anyone else. Not yet. Humans will need to grow on their own, unaware of the eyes watching them. That is part of what makes you strong." Eli nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Some knowledge carried power, and some power carried danger. He would protect it, as Marin had instructed, as humans always protected what they valued most. The next days passed quietly. The coalition's presence lingered, subtle and unseen, but humanity continued its ordinary life. Eli and Marin continued their work, refining the network, practicing control, and preparing for the inevitable return. Each exercise strengthened their understanding and proved the capability of the human spirit. Eli discovered new ways to manipulate the energy, combining creativity with logic, improvisation with discipline. He realized that humans had survived countless challenges because they did not rely solely on one approach. They adapted, experimented, and learned from every failure. That was their advantage, their unmeasurable strength. One evening, Marin led him to the roof of the house. The city stretched out before them, lights twinkling like stars fallen to the ground. "You see this?" she asked. "Humans inhabit this world quietly, unaware of how extraordinary they are, but they survive, thrive, and create anyway. And that is why the coalition hesitates. They can measure technology, predict force, analyze patterns, but they cannot measure creativity, courage, or resilience." Eli gazed at the city, feeling a surge of pride and wonder. Humans were ordinary in appearance, yet extraordinary in essence. He realized the truth of Marin's lessons. Survival was not about strength alone, but about ingenuity, connection, and the will to adapt. "Do you think they'll come back?" Eli asked softly. "Eventually," Marin admitted. "But humans will always be ready. You've proven that today. And even when they return, humanity will endure, not because it is perfect, but because it is human." Eli smiled faintly. "And we'll be ready." Marin's implant had burned out, leaving her fully human. She was no longer a part of the coalition, no longer bound by their rules, yet she remained their guide and protector. Together, they had shown the galaxy the uncontainable strength of humanity. And Eli understood the final lesson. Some truths must remain hidden, some knowledge must be protected, and some victories are quiet, unseen by the world. but the impact of those victories could ripple across generations. Weeks later, life returned to normal, or as normal as it could be for someone who had glimpsed the extraordinary. Eli returned to school, to friends, to family. The city bustled, unaware of the forces that had scanned, judged, and hesitated. Humanity continued, unmeasured but unbroken. Eli often glanced at Marin, a silent understanding passing between them. They shared a secret that was powerful beyond measure, a knowledge that humans were extraordinary in ways the galaxy could not predict. And he knew that one day humanity would face new challenges, new observers, new threats. But for now they had proved themselves, and humans would endure. Marin's words echoed in his mind, quiet but unforgettable. Don't tell your mom. Some truths are too important, too powerful, too extraordinary to share. But remember this: humans are uncontainable, unpredictable, and unstoppable, and that is why you survive. Eli smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. Humans had survived countless challenges, and now they had survived the gaze of the galaxy itself. They were uncontainable, unpredictable, and ready for whatever came next. And in that quiet understanding, Eli realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not in what they built, what they fought, or what they controlled, but in the very essence of being human, a spirit that adapted, a mind that created, a heart that endured. Humans had survived the impossible before, and now they had survived the galaxy's watchful eyes. And the world, quiet, ordinary, yet extraordinary, continued.